Hey everybody, it is the end of April and it was 70 degrees yesterday and it's 30 degrees today. So we're enjoying that weather swing here in Minnesota. However, our chickens are laying eggs like crazy still, and so I thought it'd be a great time to show you all how to make egg noodles from scratch. I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, where every single week I share stories about farming, family, food, and fortitude here on our 5-acre homestead in northern Minnesota. So let's dive right in here. You're going to take a food processor and add 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You can mix it by hand, but it is going to take a long time, so I recommend using that food processor if you have one. So 3 cups of flour, and pulse it just a few times. That's going to aerate the flour. It'll give you a much better dough. Then we are going to add to it 2 to 3 eggs, 2 eggs if they're kind of standard size. We have some smaller ones from our chickens, so I went ahead and added a 3rd egg to it as well. And then whisk it up very well. And add that to the food processor. Not seen here is me fumbling with my food processor for about 10 minutes trying to get it on right so it would function. And then you go ahead and run it for about 30 seconds to get it really well combined. And you might end up with kind of a breadcrumb type consistency, and if you do, you need to add a little bit of water, a tablespoon at a time. So I had to do that here. It took 2 tablespoons of water, which isn't much, but as you can see, it goes from sort of a coarse consistency to clumping up into a pretty shaggy looking dough ball. Next, you are going to pull that out, and we are just going to roll this into a ball, so it'll be a little bit sticky, a little bit tacky. That's fine, that's kind of what you're shooting for. And you're just going to knead it for 1 to 2 minutes until it's really nice and smooth and everything is well incorporated. And once you get the ball rolled, well, you are going to either wrap it in plastic wrap, or I like to stick them in plastic bags, and let it sit for 15 minutes, and then separate it into 3 pieces. And here you can see I have a piece, and start putting them through your pasta roller. So I have this attachment here on my KitchenAid. You want to run it through on the widest setting first, and then just set it aside, and you can roll then the subsequent sections of the dough as well. I ran this through twice on the wide setting just to make sure it was nice and smooth. You can let the dough rest for longer than 15 minutes. It can rest for up to 2 hours on your counter, and a longer rest is actually better for yielding a nicer pasta, but it's entirely up to you. That 15 minutes will work just as well. So after you've run the 3 sections through at the widest setting, you are going to narrow the rollers down by 1 setting. And then here you can see I just continue to do that until I get the pasta to the thickness I want. So always just make it a little bit more narrow as you go, and keep running the sheets through until you get it to the desired thickness that you're looking for. Typically you want to be able to kind of see your hand through it fairly clearly. So I think I went to about a 4 on the setting here on my KitchenAid mixer. And then after that, you're going to run it through the attachments that are going to make your noodles. And so here I am using the Alfredo looking pasta roller attachment here. You want to collect it and not let it just pool up on the countertop, because they will stick together. So you want to collect it with your hand, and then you can dredge it through a little bit of flour, otherwise the noodles are really going to stick. So I just kind of lay it out, sprinkle it with some flour, toss the noodles a little bit, and then you can hang them to dry. Dryer racks for clothes work actually really well. Mine happened to be drying diapers at this time, so I couldn't use it for that. Or you can also make little nests like I'll show you here, and you can dry them in sort of a nest shape. So you just kind of twirl them around your fingers and make a little nest that then you can dry on a cookie sheet. And this pasta will keep for 3 to 6 months depending. You can freeze it if you want. You can just store it in airtight containers once it is completely dried. It's entirely up to you. Just keep an eye on it to make sure it hasn't grown anything funky or smells funky or anything, but it dries really well. So here's some nests that I just have drying on a cookie sheet. You want to flip them over probably once. It takes about 24 hours or so for them to dry completely. And here I'm I'm showing you how, if you don't have a cutter, so let's say you rolled your pasta out by hand, this is how you can really easily make your own noodles just by rolling the sheet on itself, make sure it's well floured, and then slicing it into whatever width noodles you would like after that. To cook your fresh pasta, you can just plop it in a pot of boiling water, and it only needs to cook for about 3 minutes at most. Just pull it out and taste those noodles to see if they're the tenderness you like. They'll all float up towards the top once they are done cooking, and then you can go ahead and make a delicious dish like this, which all it is some butter, Parmesan, and some parsley on there, and I did a little bit of balsamic vinegar too. Super delicious. So that is all it takes. It's very, very simple to make your own egg noodles. They are delicious, and they also store really well, which is a great way to use up all those extra eggs. Thanks so much for watching. You can always find us here every single week with more videos about farming, family food, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.